Blessings, a community of wise. Listen, Coach T here with you this morning, and I have a question. I have a question for my wise. Which side of the pie are you eating from today? That's question number one. Which side of the pie are you eating from today? And then question number two, who cut your slice of pie? Who cut your slice of pie? All right. And I want to just talk about this for a minute about humble pie. All right. Humble pie. And one of the reasons this came up to me is because when speaking to some of my wives, one of the things I'm hearing a lot of is wives taking the initiative and doing things on their own without getting permission from God. They're taking the initiative in doing things without getting necessary instructions from God. Like, God has not given them instructions to do these things, but they have taken it upon themselves to do it themselves. So say, for instance, a husband and a wife are no longer living in the same home, and that husband has made a decision not to provide any type of financial, any kind of financial help to the wife. And so the wife feels like, okay, well, I'm not getting no help from you. You're not helping me financially. You know, I have bills over here. We have these kids over here. You're not helping me. I'm going to go and, you know, apply for child support. Or I'm going to go to the courts and have the courts to, you know, help me apply for, you know, me to be able to get funds from you. Okay. And so my question behind that is always this. One, did God give you permission to do that? Did God give you permission to do that? Okay. And two, has God made another way or another means for you to be able to have the financial assistance that you need and the financial help that you need? Because so many wives are playing God in their marriage. So many wives are playing God in their marriage. And with this being the case, it's almost like my question be, do you want your husband to come back home? Do you want marital restoration? Because if you want marital restoration, there are certain things that you're not supposed to be doing, wives. There are certain things that you shouldn't be initiating. There are certain things you have to go to God on and ask him about. And one of those things might be, should I go to the courts and file for, you know, child support? Should I go to the courts and, you know, file for, you know, help or, you know, something, some kind of assistance? Should I do that, God? Too many wives are being God in their marriage. Too many wives are taking the initiative and doing things on their own that God has not. He ain't even part of that. He's not even part of that. And so I say that to say this: which side of the pie are you cutting from? And who's cutting the pie for you? Are you cutting your pie, wife? Or are you allowing God to cut that pie for you? Because if you're cutting your own slice, I'm pretty sure, I'm 110,000% sure that you're not cutting from that humble side. I'm pretty sure that you're not cutting from that that unconditional love side. I'm pretty sure that you're not cutting from that refined side. I'm pretty sure you're not cutting from that discipline side. I'm pretty sure, wife, you're not cutting from that place. You're cutting from this. I want justice. You're cutting from, this is not right. You're cutting from how he out here living his best life and doing the things that he want to do, and we over here suffering. You're cutting from, there ain't no way I'm going to sit back and watch him, which you shouldn't be doing anyways. I'm going to sit here and watch him take care of another woman and her kids, and he's not providing for our kids. Which side of the pie are you cutting from? And are you allowing God to cut that pie for you? Because if you're cutting from that pie, if you're cutting from that pie, wife, I'm pretty sure you're not cutting from the side that God would desire. Listen, wives, this process to marital restoration, you have to understand, first and foremost, it is a faith walk. It is a faith walk. And the process that we go through during this journey, okay? And I can say we, because I've been there with you. I've been there. I've walked that walk, so I know what I'm talking about. The process that we go through on this journey, you have to understand, it is all about God's way. It is God's process and how he wants it to be, okay? God is a just God, but God is a loving God. God will discipline you, but God will also show you mercy. Okay? God will go to war on your behalf, but God will also extend grace. But you do not get to choose how you want God to be at that time, how you want him to be. God says, I need balance. I need you to have balance. And in order for you to have balance, I'm going to give you both. I'm going to give you both of best worlds. Sometimes I'm going to be graceful. Sometimes I'm going to be merciful. Sometimes I'm going to be kind and loving. And then there's some times where I'm going to tell you to set some boundaries. There are going to be some times when I tell you to don't fall for that or don't settle for that. There are going to be some times I'm going to tell you to turn the other cheek. There are going to be some times when I'm going to tell you to go along with it. There are going to be some times I'm going to tell you to, you know, keep going. But there are going to also be some times when I'm going to say, no, enough is enough. I've had enough of that now. Now I got it from here. Listen, wives, there are going to be some times when God ain't going to give you neither one of those choices. And now you're stuck in the middle like, okay, I don't really know what I'm supposed to be doing here, God. At one point you was telling me, you know, to go along with it. At another point you was telling me not to go along with it. Now I'm not really hearing what you're telling me to do. And then the question becomes like, what do I do? Like, what do I do at that point? At that point, you go back to what you know about God and you wait to hear from him. You go back to the character of God. You go back to what the last thing he told you, and you wait for him. Too many wives are taking the initiative in their marriage restoration, and they're doing things without going to God. I'll give you another example. Some wives who have come to a place of marital restoration, and their spouse now all of a sudden has returned home. Their spouse has returned home. And depending on what that spouse is, if the Lord himself has not brought that spouse to a place of surrender and complete repentance, you have to understand you're going to be on shaky ground, okay? However your spouse got home, whether he was forced to come home, whether something happened, whether all of a sudden something happened with him and the other woman, whatever the situation is, if God himself has not placed his hands on your spouse and have completely delivered him from his foolery, you have to understand you are on shaky ground, wife. You are on shaky ground. And because you are on shaky ground, you cannot go back into this marriage acting like, okay, everything is just grand and we're going to go back to life as usual. You can't assume that he is back in that place of, okay, I'm back home with my family and kids. Even if he may come off and be in that way, because one day he may be, I'm a family man again. I'm a married man again. And then another day he may relapse and go back to being somebody else. Okay. He is not stable. He is not stable. And so one of the things I always try to encourage wives on this journey, if you don't have a coach, you need to get one, okay? If you don't have a coach, you need to get one, especially when it comes down to making these types of decisions, especially when it comes down to doing some of these things that you're doing and you feel like, oh, well, this is not right. He's not helping me out with the bills. He's not helping me out financially. He's not doing this or he's not doing that. I feel like I am justified. I am justified to do this because typically that's how the world runs, all right? Typically, if you do something wrong to me that's not right, then typically I'm supposed to respond to you. But you have to understand, in the kingdom of God, that's not how that works. And when you're trying to get your spouse to come back home, and you're trying to get your spouse to come back to a healthy place with you, and you want your marriage to come back to a place of wholeness, you have to understand there are some things, wives, that you should not be doing. There are some steps that you should not be taking without seeking out the Lord's way, okay? You get some wives who say, well, I felt like I had peace about it. That was my story. I had peace. Okay. I felt like I had peace about this situation. I felt like, you know, the Lord had, excused me from this. I felt like the Lord, told me it was okay for me to go and foul. I felt like the Lord told me, I felt like I had peace. He didn't tell me to go foul, but I felt like I had peace when I went down there to go foul. Right. And one of the things I always share with wives is I will never forget when I did all that. I know it was God sent an angel. He sent an angel to me when I went through all the paperwork and did everything I was supposed to do and went through the buckle and the struggle of, trying to get these papers or whatever going. It was this man sitting in this office, and I don't know where this man came from. He was just there. And when the lady called my name or whatever, the man was there, and I'm telling myself, well, this man, he was here before me. Like, surely he's supposed to go before me, but he didn't. She called my name, whatever. I went back and I came back. When I came back, it was almost like, and man was like, okay, my job is done here. So he said, hey, take care of yourself. And I was telling myself, okay. And then he reached into his, pocket and he pulled out this Bible. And I was like, okay, thank you. He said, he told me that he was I think he told me he was a pastor. He told me he was a pastor. He didn't tell me what church he was from, but he told me he was a pastor. And as soon as I came from out of that room, he, you know, was packing up his things to get ready to go. But before he left, he shook my hand. He told me he was a pastor, and he gave me a Bible, one of those small mini Bibles. And the first page the Bible opened up on, the first page was John, I think it was John 8:32. You should know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Oh my God. Oh my God. And the reason why it was so mind-blowing is because that was the Bible verse that the Lord had been dealing with me on. That was the Bible verse I had been reading, I had been studying. That was the Bible verse that had kept on coming back to me. And so when I opened it up, it was almost like my eyes was open. It was like, I just watched the Preacher's Wife last night with Denzel Washington and Whitney Houston, and how Denzel came down as an angel. And I promise you, this is what this man was. As soon as my eyes was open, I looked up, the man was gone. I promise you to God, he was gone. I went downstairs. I got on the elevator to go and look for the man. I mean, and I'm searching. I'm saying, surely he couldn't have got that far away from me. Surely this man couldn't have got that far. That man was gone. It was like a blink of an eye. He was gone. Okay, he was gone. But the one thing that kept on lingering in my spirit was, you should know the truth, and the truth will set you free. You should know the truth, and the truth should set you free. Now, me still being in my prideful, stubborn ways, I'm still thinking, you know, oh, well, God is trying to tell me something, and this and that and that. And he was trying to tell me something. He was trying to tell me something. He was trying to let me know that one day you're going to know the truth, and that truth is going to set you free. This was not my preferred choice for you to come down here and to put these papers and file against your husband. This is not my preferred choice for you. But because you chose this route, I allowed it to happen. And I gave you peace about it. I gave you peace about this happening. But this was not my preferred choice for you. But you chose this way. So I gave you peace on it. And when I tell you, I did all that. My husband packed up. He left. He was so upset. I mean, he was so hurt. It wasn't that he was upset. He was hurt. He was hurt like, you know, he couldn't believe that I actually did this. Like, I actually went through with this. It was like, you know, we say things all the time. We fuss, we fight, but we never have gotten to this point. And so to him, it was almost like I had crushed his heart. I crushed his spirit. And he ended up leaving. And I remember when he left, the Holy Spirit said, now go and drop that divorce order. Go and drop that, dismiss that divorce order. Okay. And so I say all that to say this, wise. Don't get on this don't get on this wheel and thinking that you're supposed to just do what the world's way, or do what you've seen, or do what you think is the right thing to do, and you not get counsel behind that, and you don't get counsel. It's important that you are getting the correct counsel and getting the correct guidance on this journey, so you would know how to handle things. Because what you may think is something that you're supposed to be doing, it may not necessarily be what God is preferring for you. And God is a gracious God, and he does give us free will. And I say he give us free will to a certain extent. Yes, I say that. He give us free will, but you have to understand God's preferred choice for you is what he made that promise to you, that promise that he gave to you. His preferred choice is probably not. It's probably going to go totally against what you would ever think or even think or dream that it would be. Okay. And so you have to understand, wives, on this journey, you have to allow God to slice that pie for you. Okay. A lot of days you're going to eat humble pie. Okay, that's just part of this journey. It's part of disciplining you. That's part of refining you. That's part of growing you up. That's part of improving your faith and strengthening your faith. On this journey, you will have to eat a whole lot of humble pie. But God offers grace. He offers mercy. He offers so many things. He's sovereign. He's loving. He fights for us. He stands up for us. Go back to read Psalm 37, where it says, fret not because of evildoers who prosper in their ways, for they will soon be cut off. You don't get to choose when they get cut off. You don't get to choose when that happens. God said, you leave that part up to me. Your job is to model me. Your job is to represent me. And I say this, wise, I say this, because there are some times you're going to play the fool. There are some times when you are going to look like, oh my God, I feel so stupid on this. But even in those times and moments, let God slice that pie for you. Okay. You don't get to play a fool just because you feel like I'm supposed to play the fool. Okay. There are times you play the fool, and there are times when you have to stand up for yourself. There are times times when you have to humble yourself, and there are times when you have to turn the other cheek, okay? There are times when you have to do certain things, but you will not know what times those are without you allowing God to do it, okay? Without you allowing God to do it. And I share theirs before I let you go. I'll try to share like a little transparency with you, okay? One of the things the Lord told me once before on my journey was, your husband, he's a better person. He's a better person when you allow me to slice his pie for you. He's a better person when you allow me. Yes, it may hurt. Yes, it may not seem fair. Yes, it may seem like, this is just not how it's supposed to be. But you have to also understand he is so much better when you let me do it. You let me handle it my way. Because when you let me handle it the way I want to handle it, I can bring him back to you a certain way. I can present him back to you a certain way. Yes, you might have to take some punches, and yes, you might have to take some blows. That's part of the process. That's part of the discipline. That's part of the fight. That's part of this journey, okay? But you have to understand, you allowing me to work through you, is making him so much better. It's making him so much healthier. It's allowing him to do things. And guess what? If he decides to go a different route other than what God is trying to put together, God gonna deal with him. God is going to deal with him. If he decides he's doing some things and he's arrogantly and he's going a different way and being prideful and not doing what he's supposed to do by his family, God is going to deal with him. Wives, you have to understand, we can't get away from what God's word says. There are principles in the Bible. There are rules in the Bible that tells us, if you don't do this, this will happen. If you don't do this, this will happen. If a man don't do right by his family and do right by his wife, his prayers will be hindered, okay? If a man doesn't operate as that leader over his household, God is going to deal with him, because that's what God created him to do. So there are certain rules that the Bible instructs us that you can't get away from that part. So even when you feel like you are being thrown unjust, even when you feel like, even when you feel like you are being thrown, you may be thrown unjust, even when you feel like things are not going necessarily the way that you would want them to go, you have to understand what the Bible tells us, okay? The Bible says a man will reap what they sow. You will reap what you sow, okay? The Bible tells us God will not be mocked, okay? God will not be mocked. And he is a just God, right? So he is a just God. So even though it may seem unfair to you at that moment and at that time, you got to understand that God knows exactly what he's doing. And when he's doing what he's doing and he's allowing these things to happen, you want to understand that he is doing something more in you, wife, than he's doing in your husband. He's working something out in you, and you want to be able to go through that process, and you want to come out as pure as gold. You want to come out on the other side as pure as gold. You want to allow whatever God need to get through you and over you and stretch you, and however he want to do those things, you want him to do that work in you, because you don't want to have to repeat that. You don't want to have to keep on holding yourself up and standing in that same spot, okay? You want God to purify you and get you to the place you want him to be. And ultimately, you want God to bring your husband back. You want your marriage to be back in a whole place. You want your marriage to be back in a healthy place. It ain't easy. It ain't just, oh, we gonna cry and make up and that's gonna be it. No, you're gonna have to work for that. It's a process to that, okay? And so I just hope that has been an encouragement to you, wives. I hope that has been an encouragement. And listen, I want to encourage you, wives, to sign up. Sign up. You need to get this type of counsel in your life. You need to be in a place where you are understanding that God's process and God's ways is totally different than what your mama them may think, what your pastor them may think, what the world may think. It is totally different. It is totally different. And wives need to be mindful of that. What you may think is the right way, God might be like, not today. That's not how we're doing that today, okay? We're not going that route today. We're not going that route today. And listen, Coach, she don't come on here telling you about something that she heard. I come on here and tell you about something I know. I was that one. I filed for a divorce. I said, I'm going to go put my husband on child support. And I remember I was in a parking lot of the library with my children. And I was so mad with him. I'm like, how in the world I'm going to be over here paying all these bills and doing this by myself and this and that and the other. And I said, I'm going to go and file. And the Lord said, now if you want your husband to come back home, you're not. Now, if you want your husband to come back home, you're not going to go file for child support. You're going to allow me to do that. You're going to allow me to help you. You're going to allow me to provide and make a way for you. And listen, guys, God is faithful. He is faithful. He did just that. He made sure that I was taken care of, that me and my kids were taken care of. He made sure listen, come on, Jesus. We stayed in our house for about 2 years and didn't have to pay a mortgage, and God still made a way and provided. We in that same house to this day. I don't say that to boast. I say that because I give God the glory and the praises and the honor, because it's nobody but him who does stuff like that for you, wife. It's nobody but God who does stuff like that for you. And so I want to encourage you, wife. I want to encourage you, stop being God on this journey. Stop trying to take matters into your own hand. Get you some help. Get you some guidance, okay? Get you some help and get you some guidance. And I want to just share this, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit later on over the weekend. I am getting ready to start a support group for my wives who are married to the husbands that's dealing with addictions. To my wives who are married to husbands who are dealing with addictions. I'm going to do a support group. We're going to meet twice in a month, and I'll talk about that more a little bit this weekend. But I know a lot of times people say, you know, they may necessarily cannot afford a coach. But I say this, you can't afford not to have a coach, especially when you're trying to get and you're trying to walk this walk effectively and do what God's asking you to do. You cannot afford to not have a coach. You need to go in prayer, wife. You need to ask God to give you provision. You need to ask God to help you. You need to ask God to show you how you are able to do whatever it is that you need to do to get the necessary that you need. So many wives are just out here saying, oh, I'm going to just be out here by myself and just, you know, me and God, we're going to do it. And that's fine. That's fine. You can kick it that way. You can go that route if that's what you want to do. But God has placed people. He has placed people on your journey and on your path to help you on this, okay? To help you on this journey, all right? And the reason I mentioned about the support group is because some of the things that I share on my YouTube platform, I'm not going to be sharing on my YouTube platform anymore, but it's going to be for that private closed group, okay? And so I will talk more about that coming up in coming up over the weekend. It's something that you really want to think about, wives. For my wives who are married to husbands with addictions, especially for my wives who are married to husbands for addiction. There are so many other wife coaches out there who offer other things, but my passion is more so for the wives who is married to that addict, who's married to that person who just, you like, everybody done threw their hands up on this person, but God has told you to stand in the gap and told you to stand for this person, all right? And so, wives, be encouraged. If you have not already signed for your Buoyancy boost, sign up today at www.marriagechroniclesbytanika.com. Before we do your curriculum, there's a consultation. There is a consultation that must take place. So I would encourage you to sign up for that, all right? www.marriagechroniclesbytanika.com. Listen, y'all enjoy this Thursday, okay? I'll talk to you soon. Blessings.